Chapter 9, The Law of Relativity. Understanding life's challenges through the lens of perspective. The mountain only seems tall until you climb it. There is a moment that every traveler in the mountains experiences at the base. As the sun rises behind the peaks, the mountain looks impossibly tall, majestic, overwhelming, almost frightening. The shadows exaggerated its height. The cold air magnifies its distance, and your mind begins to whisper, I don't know if I can climb that. But the mountain has not changed, only your perspective has. Deep within the wisdom of nature lies the law of relativity. Nothing has meaning until you compare it to something else. A challenge only feels enormous when you stand too close to it. A burden only feels heavy when you forget the strength you've already built. A loss only feels unbearable when you don't yet see what it makes space for. Climbers know this secret. Once you take the first few steps up the trail, the mountain slowly begins to shrink. Within an hour, the intimidating peak becomes a companion. Within 2 hours, your breath sinks with the rhythm of the ascent. By midday, the same mountain that once frightened you becomes part of your view, and once you reach the summit, you look down and laugh. It wasn't as big as I thought. Life is the same. Challenges feel unbearable only when you stand beneath them, staring upward. When you rise, even a little, perspective changes everything. The law of relativity is nature's way of teaching you that every difficulty is relative to your position, your mindset, and the angle from which you view it. Move your angle, and the experience changes. Shift your lens, and the world rearranges itself. Understanding this law does not remove life's challenges. It frees you from being crushed by them. The forest without darkness cannot see the light. Walk into a forest at noon, and everything appears ordinary. Trees glowing, leaves shimmering, sunlight scattering on the ground. Nothing stands out, but walk into the same forest near dusk, when the shadows grow long and the air cools, and suddenly the light becomes precious. The single ray shining through the branches looks like a blessing. Light is only meaningful because darkness exists. Warmth is only comforting because cold has been felt. Joy is only joyful because you understand sorrow. Nature reveals the law of relativity constantly. Everything becomes meaningful through contrast. The tree grows tall because it fights for sunlight. The flower blooms brightly because it has endured the chill of the night. Even the song of the birds feels sweeter after a long silence. Humans often forget this. They want joy without sadness, growth without discomfort, clarity without confusion. But life does not work that way, because without contrast, nothing has shape. Think of your own life. A moment of peace after a year of chaos feels like heaven. A small victory after long hardship feels monumental. A kind word after days of loneliness can bring tears. This is relativity, the meaning of an experience is shaped by what came before it. When you understand this, you stop resenting your difficulty. You begin to see that your challenges shape the landscape of your life, the way valleys give shape to mountains. Without the valley, the mountain would simply a flat plain. Nature does not apologize for contrast, it uses it, and so can you. The law of relativity teaches something profound and liberating. Your suffering is not absolute. Your challenge is not fixed. Your story is not defined by the difficulty, but the perspective you bring to it. Everything in your life can be viewed differently, reframed, repositioned, like the forest seen at the different hours of the day. What looked threatening at dawn becomes beautiful by sunset. Perspective is not about denying the darkness, it is about acknowledging the light that exists because of it. Rivers don't judge the journey, they compare nothing. Stand by the river long enough, you will notice something interesting. The water never pauses to compare its path with another stream. It does not argue, that streams flow more easily than I do, or that river never has fewer rocks, more sunlight, a straighter route. It simply flows. Humans, however, live their lives in comparison, comparing incomes, comparing relationships, comparing paths, comparing progress. But the law of relativity says comparison is only helpful when it brings clarity, not pain. A river with many obstacles is not worse than a river with none. It's simply shaping a different landscape. A gentle stream may be peaceful, but a turbulent river caves canyons. In the same way, the person with fewer challenges is not luckier, just different. The one who struggles more often becomes deeper, wiser, stronger. Their canyon becomes a wonder of the world. Yet when you compare your life to someone walking an entirely different terrain, suffering grows. You begin to imagine that your path is wrong when in reality it is simply yours. Nature teaches you this. No path is better, only different. The seed buried beneath the ground has the darkest beginning than the seed resting on the surface, but the one who endures the darkness often grows stronger roots. The tree growing on the cliff endures more wind, but also develops firmer branches. A flower blooming after drought becomes more resilient than the one never faced hardship. When you stop comparing your path with others, you finally see your own life clearly, not as lacking, not as unfair, not as behind, but simply unique, shaped by conditions that are helping you grow in your own way. This is the deepest meaning of the law of relativity. Your journey is only difficult or easy depending on what you compare it to. Compare it to your own growth, not to someone else's growth. Then even your struggles begin to make sense. The sky does not change, only the clouds move. Look up in the sky on the stormy day. Thick clouds roll across the horizon, blocking the light, turning the world gray. You might say the sky is dark today, but that is not true. The sky is not changed, only the clouds have. This is one of nature's most elegant teachings of relativity. Your circumstances may shift, but your essence does not. Your emotions may cloud your view, but the truth remains untouched behind them. Your hardships may obscure the beauty of life, but beauty still exists. Most people forget this and mistake temporary conditions of permanent reality. They believe the dark day means a dark life. A failed relationship means they are unlovable. A financial setback means they are always struggle. A mistake means they are broken. But the sky teaches you differently. It says perspective changes everything. When the clouds are thick, you can remind yourself the sky is still blue behind all of this. When your mind is full of self-doubt, you can say my value still exists beneath this emotion. When your heart is heavy with grief, you can remember love has not disappeared from the world, only my view is clouded. Understanding relativity means knowing that no feeling is final, no setback determines your destiny, and no difficulty erases your worth. The clouds move, the sky remains. This realization alone frees you from unnecessary suffering. It allows you to ride out emotional storms without believing they define you. It lets you experience pain without losing faith in healing. It keeps your inner sky intact. Nature never confuses temporary weather with permanent identity. Neither should you. Change the angle, change the entire landscape. Climb the hill overlooking a valley and look down. From that height, the river below seems calm, even when its waters are turbulent. The houses look peaceful, the roads are organized, the farms balanced, everything appears harmonious from above, even if it felt chaotic when you were in the middle of it. This is the final wisdom of the law of relativity. A small shift in perspective can transform your entire experience of life. When you rise mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, even a little, the problems that once consumed you shrink in size, not because they vanish, but because you change your angle. Here is how nature teaches you to apply this law every day. When some things feel overwhelming, step back, literally, figuratively, move to a different emotional attitude. Ask yourself, how will this matter a year from now, 5 years from now? Perspective reduces unnecessary pain. When life feels unfair, widen your lens. Instead of saying, why me? Ask, what is it teaching me? What strength is growing here? What wisdom will this become? Relativity turns suffering into meaning. When you compare yourself to others, shift the direction of comparison. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, to who you were last year, to a version of yourself that once doubted you would survive this moment. Suddenly you realize you are rising. When a problem seems unsolvable, change your approach. Nature never insists on only one path. Water finds another way. Roots curve under the stones. Branches grow toward unexpected light. When one strategy falls, another exists. Relativity invites creativity, not despair. When a situation hurts, look for the hidden balance. Nature always balances itself. Storms followed by new air, droughts followed by rains, and every challenge there is something balancing it. A lesson, a strength, a new beginning, a deeper insight. perspective reveals it. Closing reflection. Life is not hard. Perspective makes it feel hard. If the seed could speak, it might complain about the darkness. If the caterpillar could talk, it might fear the cocoon. If the river could express itself, it might resent the rocks. But all of these are temporary stages. The darkest makes the seed grow. The cocoon makes the winds form. The rocks make the river powerful. Your life is the same. Your challenges are not absolute. They gain meaning only through the lens you choose. The law of relativity does not ask you to pretend everything is easy. It simply asks you to remember that everything is relative, not fixed. Shift your perception and a burden becomes a teacher. Shift your angle and the loss becomes freedom. Shift your view, and the difficult path becomes the story of your strength. Nature is always whispering the same lesson. Change the way you see, and everything you see will change. This is the law of relativity, the law that transforms fear into clarity, conflict into understanding, and challenges into stepping stones toward a horizon you once thought were out of reach.